There were six of us who did preseason predictions for the Boston Globe, and not one of us picked the Red Sox being in the playoffs. And that wasn't something that was outlandish at the time. I mean, nobody thought they were a playoff team.
Pete Abraham joining us right now from the Boston Globe. Pete, great to see you. How's everything? And are you pleased with the progress of the Boston Red Sox so far this season? A team to cover that you probably didn't anticipate to be in this spot.
Yeah, I didn't think we'd be covering playoff implication games in August with this team when we came out of spring training, given all the issues that they had. But Alex Cora has done a great job. The pitching has overachieved up until maybe the last couple of weeks. And they're in a pretty good position even now with the pitching where it is.
What do you think gets them into the playoffs? What has to go right the next month and a half? Like what is the pathway, and what would burn them if they don't make it in?
Well, it's really all about the rotation. They have a 5.88 ERA coming out since the All-Star break. They've got to fix that. James Paxton's been good for them in 2 starts. He looks like he was a good pickup. The 2 biggest things is they need to get Cutter Crawford and Tanner Houck back on track. Both of those guys have had a rough time since the All-Star break. They're both over their career number of innings that they had previously. Now, they say they feel fine. It's just a matter of kind of getting their mechanics back straightened out. But that has to happen soon because both of those guys have had some issues since the break. And it's led to, Nick Pavetta's taken a start off to try to reset. So they've got some issues with the rotation. They've been able to out-hit a lot of their problems. They were 4-2 on their last road trip because they were just crushing the ball. But that's a hard way to win for a long term.
Hey, Pete, Cam Maven here. I want to stay on that offense because, when I look at this lineup, this roster, Romy Gonzalez, Danny Jansen, Wilyer Abreu, Wong, Dom Smith having a great last month. How surprising has it been with the production of this offense, and what is the mindset? What is the team approach? Because it seems like all of these guys are staying within themselves and playing their best brand of baseball.
Yeah, the approach has been, especially with Tristan Casas on the IL, that the one guy they know they've kind of got every day is Rafael Devers. And other than that, it's been a lot of moving parts. Alex Cora has been moving guys around the outfield, moving guys around the infield. They'll bring in a pinch hitter that leads to 5 defensive changes on the team, and everybody just kind of rolls with it. And they know Devers is going to hit 4th. We've had Connor Wong hitting 3rd in some games, which is something you never expected. Romy Gonzalez hit 3rd the other day. They've had different leadoff hitters. There's a lot of different things that have gone on. Jarren Duran also obviously has been a constant as well. But different days, it's different guys. Dom Smith's been great the last month and a half. Wilyer Abreu is going to get Rookie of the Year votes, I think, and so will Ceddanne Rafaela. So they've gotten a lot of production, I think, that we didn't necessarily see coming out of spring training. And not only has it been guys who have been good, they've been good pretty consistently.
All right, so how does Alex Cora do it? I got to ask, Pete. How does Alex Cora do it? Because going into this year, people are like, this team's going to be okay. They can't really pitch that great. They don't really hit that great. You look up, you're right there for a wild card. They didn't really make any major moves, during the trade deadline or even in the offseason. So how does Alex Cora do it? Is it just motivation? Is it communication? What's his secret?
I think communication is a big part of it. The guys know the lineup for the next day before they leave the park the previous night. They know what Alex is going to expect of them. There's a lot of buy-in into, you might play different positions. You might get pinch hit for during the game. You're not necessarily going to hit where you hit the day before. If it's a lefty, you might be out of the lineup. You might be down in the lineup. And getting everybody to sort of buy into that, for the good of the team, you have to maybe sublimate some of your ego and not show up every day thinking you're going to be in the lineup necessarily. And he's managed to, I think with the bullpen especially, maneuver the bullpen in such a way that it's covered up their issues with the rotation. He's gone to the bullpen early a few times. He's had certain guys that he's leaned on over the course of the season, and they've all produced really well for them. He only puts Kenley Jansen in certain situations. They've survived the loss of Chris Martin, who came back the other night and looked dominant. So a lot of it's been, I think, getting the guys in the lineup to understand it's not going to be the same thing every day, and getting the guys in the bullpen to understand that other than Kenley, there's really nobody who has the same role.
Pete, you talk about these chess moves, and I've always said that Alex Cora is one of the smartest baseball minds that I've ever been around. Himself, Carlos Beltran, AJ, guys like that. If they find a way, when you look at coming into this season, what the outlook was, if they find a way to get into the playoffs, I know there have been a lot of managers doing a great job. Do we put Alex Cora in that manager of the year category? I mean, what are you guys feeling? because he has done a great job of maneuvering pieces, like you said, and mixing and matching and making the right moves.
Yeah, there were six of us who did preseason predictions for the Boston Globe, and not one of us picked the Red Sox being in the playoffs. And that wasn't something that was outlandish at the time. I mean, nobody thought they were a playoff team. People were picking them to come in last, and here they are competing, not just competing for a wild card, but I think they're only 5.5 games out of the division. So all of this is very unexpected. And if they get in the playoffs, they're going to be really dangerous because Alex is an all-in guy in the playoffs. He'll tell the starters, have your spikes on. I might use you during the game. Don't expect it. They did that in 2018. That's how they won. They had a good run a couple years ago when it really wasn't that expected. Got to the ALCS before they lost to the Astros. If they get in the playoffs, they're going to be a tough out.
Hey, Pete, are White Sox fans embracing, or sorry, we're talking so much White Sox. They probably are. This question does apply. White Sox fans are embracing the Red Sox because there is one team that's competitive this year. Are Red Sox fans embracing this team? You know, there aren't a ton of household names. I know there was a lot of frustration, not only about this past offseason, but you're seeing it in the attendance at the end of last year. Where are we at on how Red Sox fans feel? Because in my mind, if I was a Red Sox fan and I'm demanding a lot, I'm not, but I would be like, okay, we're a wild card team with this. What if we did a little bit? Like, what if we had another superstar or two coming into this situation?
Yeah, here's what's been weird. They've had 4 sellouts all year. That's it. They sold out opening day. They sold out 3 Yankee games, and they sold out a game last week when Seattle was in town. That's been it. I mean, usually you're talking about you can't get a ticket to Fenway Park, and it's been like that. And the other thing that's been a little strange is we've had weekend series at home where there were, I think, as many fans of the other team as there were of the Red Sox. Fenway Park has become like the place to go if you're a Milwaukee Brewers fan and they're there for the weekend. That's been kind of strange, too. But I have sensed since the All-Star break, the fan base is more behind this team. There is a little bit about what you were talking about, Scott, that people are like, how good could they have been if they had made some better moves in the offseason? Too late to do that now, but it is a hard team not to root for. I mean, they've got guys like Wilyer Abreu the other day, hits 2 home runs after his grandmother passed away. He's crying in the dugout. They put him up against a lefty, which they normally don't do. He hits the second home run. There's been a lot of good things going on with this team that I think from a fan's perspective, you should get behind them. But it'll be interesting to see over this next month and a half what Fenway Park is like because it did start to change during the last homestand.
So, Pete, when you have a team that's having a lot of success by committee, a lot of it has to do with Alex Cora, clearly, but who's the player? Who's the guy that you've seen that really kind of galvanizes the troops, really gets guys to continue to play together and not allow that selfish mentality to kind of find its way in? Who have you seen other than Rafael Devers? We know he's the guy that's making all the money. Who have you seen really kind of take onus of that leadership role?
Rob Refsnyder, without a doubt, it's Rob Refsnyder. A guy who's a platoon guy against lefties. Every night in the clubhouse after the game, he's sitting in front of his locker, and Jaron Duran is there. Connor Wong is there. Other young guys are there talking to him about the game. They sit down and break down the game. They talk about what happened in that game, what might happen tomorrow. It's definitely Rob, and he's not a guy, a guy who's bounced around a bit, a platoon guy. He's never been necessarily an everyday player. He's been very productive for the Sox this year. He's played around different spots in the outfield. He's the guy in the clubhouse, I think, that's held it all together among the position players. But I think that's translated to the rest of the team, too.
Big shout out to America's #1 meal kit, HelloFresh, for helping us eat good during this busy time of the year for us. With HelloFresh, you get pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. It's home cooking made easy, fun, and affordable.
HelloFresh makes it easy, even for picky eaters like Scott. There's a changing menu of 50 recipes to choose from each week. Customize it to fit your taste. There's protein and veggie swap options too. The recipes are easy to follow. Just choose your delivery day, open your box, cook, and eat.
My house is busy with sports, but family dinners are important. My fam eats better, healthier, and we cook so much easier with HelloFresh.
And for a limited time, kids eat free. Go to HelloFresh.com/FTKids to unlock this exclusive offer. 1 free kids meal per box for 2 months while subscription is active. That's free kids meals just by going to HelloFresh.com/FTKids.
Players used to not do that the last few years. You hear about them hurrying back to the hotel and, hurrying back home so they can play video games. So that's good to hear that somebody's doing it. And by the way, did you know it was Craig Breslow's birthday? Did you wish him a happy birthday yesterday?
I did not know that. No, Craig was.
Bad teammate.
I think that's the other thing too. Is Craig played here, and I think when you have the chief executive guy is a guy who played in Boston. I think that makes a big difference because he understands sort of what people are expecting, what the clubhouse is expecting, and he could have gone a couple different ways at the trade deadline, but he did do something, a few things really to help this team, and I think that really resonated in the clubhouse.
Okay, good. I played there too, Pete. So that makes me the perfect candidate for GM. So, and Craig and I played together. So maybe I can be the assistant GM.
Well, I mean, they're still looking for spots, I think, AJ. So you never know.
So I should reach out. I'll call Craig after the show and be like, "Hey, buddy, remember me? We played together like 3 months before Pete bashed me and got me sent out of town. That's okay. I get it." Hey, on a serious note, though, the Red Sox ownership, Fenway Sports Group, they own Liverpool, they own the Red Sox, they own NASCAR, they own the Penguins. Are they really going to try and buy the Celtics?
I don't think so. I think if they were to make an NBA play, they're involved with LeBron James. He's one of the limited partners in Fenway Sports Group. And there's a lot of talk that LeBron wants to be involved with a Las Vegas NBA expansion team at some point. I think if they were to go the NBA route, it would be in Vegas and it would be somehow partnered with LeBron. I don't know if that'll ever get to that point. They're doing a lot with golf right now, too. But I don't think that it would be the Celtics. I think it would be an expansion team that would be in Vegas.
Breaking news. I didn't know there was going to be an expansion team.
Well, there's been talk about if the NBA were to expand, Vegas might be one of the spots, and that LeBron would want to be involved in that from an ownership level standpoint. LeBron's been involved with the Red Sox or Fenway Sports Group for, I think it's at least 5 or 6 years now. A lot of Maverick Carter's with them. There's a lot of LeBron's guys that are with them. So I think that would be the way that – I don't know that LeBron would want to own the Celtics. I don't know that the Celtics would want LeBron owning the Celtics. But an expansion team I think would make sense.
Hey, Pete, are there any other extension candidates? It seems like part of Craig Breslow's playbook early on here was also to identify some players that they would sign up long term. And I think since he's joined, it's been Ceddanne Rafaela and Brian Bayo.
Yeah, both of those guys. I would think it would be Jaron Duran for sure, and Tristan Casas would be the other guy. That makes sense. I mean, a center fielder, a first baseman, 2 guys who came up through the organization. Neither of those guys have said that there have been talks so far. I would also think Tanner Houck would be somebody too. I mean, an all-star, kind of coming into his own as a pitcher, another guy who came up through the organization, but they haven't had talks with him yet either last time I checked with Tanner. So, but I think those 3 guys would definitely be candidates.
Hey, Pete, last question for me. I just saw recent news, Vaughn Grissom, his rehab stint, they decided to go ahead and option him down. Any news on that?
No, that's been a whole strange thing this year. They expected he was going to be the second baseman, and he's had some hamstring problems in both legs, and they sent him down. It wasn't so much to get ready to come back to play in the big leagues. It was to get stronger, to try to get a base under him and just sort of develop more physically, I think, before they bring him back to the big leagues. I don't think it was any sort of lack of production during his rehab stint. I think it was just more they wanted him to spend more time in the minors and prepare his body more for the grind in the big leagues. I think he's going to be back before the end of the year, but I can't say that for sure because they've been doing okay with second base, mixing and matching with the guys they have.
One quick follow-up, my last one, Pete. Do you think there's any Chris Sale trade regret, or do you think that it would not have played out this way? I mean, I know it's like asking kind of a ridiculous question, but has anyone – I'm sure around the ballpark, like, have you seen Chris Sale this year?
Yeah, well, there's, of course, you hear from a lot of fans like, oh, look at Chris Sale. He's been so great for the Braves. When they traded him, I didn't get one email, one tweet, nothing that said, what are they doing trading Chris Sale? Because he had a really rough couple of years after the 18 championship, and nothing that was his fault. It was Tommy John surgery. It was elbow issues. He got hit by a pitch and had, broke bones. I mean, it wasn't like it was stuff that he wasn't in good shape. It was all just weird stuff that had happened to him. I don't think anybody thought this is crazy. I think everybody thought, okay, we got a young guy back who could be the second baseman. Chris gets to go to Atlanta and have a fresh start. And I didn't get one bit of feedback at that time that what are they doing trading Chris Sale? And now, of course, people are like, well, how come they didn't know Chris Sale was going to be good? I don't think the Braves knew he was going to be this good. I mean, he's got a chance to win the NL Cy Young Award the way he's pitched. He probably should. And I don't think anybody saw that coming. I think people thought if he could have, be 75% of what he used to be, that'll really help the Braves. He's been 100% of what he used to be.
Yeah, I liked the trade for both sides at the time. I felt like even if Sale went back, something was going to happen. It was just getting bit by, I would say a fair share of the injury bug and just unluckiness at that point. And I like Grissom. I know, it hasn't been the year for him, but you're right. It's very easy in sports to just be like, wait, what? They traded away Chris Sale? I didn't want them to do that. Like, really?
And I think at the time, Von Grissom, people thought, Brian Sicker told me this is a young guy who's going to be a really good player. Juan Washington told me the same thing when I talked to him. They thought this was a guy who had just been blocked by Arcia and other guys in their infield. All he needed was a chance, and that he could be a good player with the Red Sox. I still think he can be a good player with the Red Sox, but you can't go back now and say, well, what were the Red Sox thinking? Because Chris had such a bad time. He was ready for a fresh start. They were ready to not necessarily be wondering every day if he was going to be on the IL or could he pitch the next game. So, good for Chris. That's the way I look at it, because none of this was his fault. It was all just strange stuff that happened to him.
All right, Pete, before we let you go, yes or no answer. Do the Red Sox make the playoffs?
No, because their rotation has really been having some issues. They're running into innings. I don't know that the rotation can hold up for the rest of the year and get them in. I hope it does, but I don't know that it can.
So you don't believe in Hulkamania, okay?
Hey, I love Tanner. He's been a great guy to cover, but the last few starts for him and Cutter Crawford have really not been great. And I think it's just because they're throwing more innings than they ever have in their life. And there's a month and a half of the season left. I just don't know how that they can compensate for that and figure out a way to run guys out there every 5 days. Unless James Paxton or whatever it is, they're going to have to find help from somewhere. Maybe it's Rich Hill. I don't know. Somebody. I don't know.
Rich Hill, AJ. 40
there he is.
million-year-old Rich Hill.
Not retire. I mean,
he's throwing Saturday.
It's today's Jamie Moyer. He's still kicking.
He's going to sign somewhere.
4.5 ERA, and someone signs him.
He's throwing Saturday for scouts in Massachusetts. So
there you go.
We'll see.
He's going to sign. I'll take that prediction's an easier one. Yeah,
he's definitely.
He'll sign somewhere.
Yeah.
Too many teams need innings.
Next week.
Yep. Pete, this was great. Thank you so much for stopping by. It's good to see you again. Everyone give Pete a follow at Pete Abe. He's great on there. Check out his work in the Boston Globe. And we'll catch you maybe in October for a playoff conversation about the Red Sox. Hopefully we're all wrong, and we'll see this team do some damage.
Hey, everybody. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content.
We're back here every weekday, all year long, so do not miss an episode.
The videos are coming in all day. Here's another video you might enjoy.
Baseball the way it should be covered.